Well, hello, Chris. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today? Thank you for
Oh,
inviting me on.
oh yeah. I'm freezing here in Austin, and I'm looking at your kind of tropical environment there. So I don't know if it's any warmer where you are.
It is not warmer outside and the heat is cranking inside,
Okay, all right.
but we do have a lot of light. So we try to
Yeah.
keep the plants in to oxygenate and filter the air. That's it.
Oh, very good. Yes. Well, you're all about health, and so I'm excited to introduce you to our audience. You're the Primal Italian, and you do health coaching about autoimmune diseases. And you started really with your focus on Hashimoto's with women, but there was a particular woman who you love very much that decided to you would take a deep dive and get to the bottom of some of those symptoms. You want to tell us a little bit about your story?
Yes, I'd love to. I was struggling with my health, and my wife was struggling with her health for most of our 40s.
Okay.
In 2019, I had like eight surgeries,
Oh,
major surgeries. I had four knee surgeries, two spinal surgeries, a shoulder surgery, dot, 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 dot.
oh my goodness.
Um, I was in pain all the time. I was losing my hair. I'd been to numerous doctors trying to figure out what was going on. No one could really figure it out. I'm just getting old, they said, or
But in your
something or
40s,
other.
that's too young to be having all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in 2019, when I was away traveling, my wife had a thyroid storm, which is basically a bunch of your th hormones that are in your thyroid gland just release right away.
All at once.
And yeah, and it's life-threatening. It can be. So
Oh,
you turn pale, you get really, really sick, you get the spins. Um, But when I came home right away from that, we went to the doctor. She had an ultrasound and we found out she had thyroid cancer from exposure to 9/11. She was down around the pile for 6 months working for Moody's when everyone said it was safe to work down there.
yeah, yeah.
She was, she just escaped the tower falling. So she was exposed to all that dust and debris on the day of 9/11. But she had to have her thyroid removed.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I'm suffering from a lot of symptoms that she's experiencing, but you read about it, men don't really get thyroid conditions,
Mhm.
dot, 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 dot. She'd struggle for a year trying to find the correct medication because she's allergic to a lot of the fillers they put in pharmaceutical medicine. So she
Mhm.
finally, after a year, she found this wonderful doctor in New York, endocrinologist Hugh. I forgot Dr. Hugh's last name, but anyway, he's retired now. But
Mhm.
he finally got my wife on the correct compounded T3 medication, and ever since then, she's been great.
Fantastic.
Um, and she recommended me go see him
Mhm.
when I turned 50, which was 3 years ago.
Mhm.
So I go in to see him. He tests me, takes blood work in, and then 3 weeks later, after the blood work, I go in to see him, and he sits me down. And he says, "Chris, do you have Hashimoto's?" I'm like, "I have what? Like what?
I
You
didn't
have
spend
an
any time in Japan. I don't eat sushi. What are you talking about?
exactly?" I was dumbfounded. And he says, "Well, you have an autoimmune condition. You're going to be on medication for the rest of your life." He did start me with a bunch of supplements like B12 injections and this and that. He also found out my testosterone level was that of an 80-year-old man. It was like 264. Should be like
Rampant
over.
today. Absolutely
Yeah.
rampant low T. Yeah.
Um, and that kind of explains why I couldn't lose weight. I had gained over my 40s over 35 pounds. And no
Mhm.
matter how hard I worked out, no matter how much I walked my dogs, I couldn't lose it. It
Mhm.
kept adding on. So I would remember vividly sitting like outside. It was April, I think 3rd or 4th, It was a nice spring day in New York City, just sitting there, just like, what, what happened to me? What happened to my health? How
Mhm.
did I let myself get this far?
Mhm.
Um, and then I was completely depressed for like 2 weeks. I
Oh,
cried. I had the biggest pity party a person can have.
well, it was a
I'm like,
really
I
big
got it.
diagnosis, like sick for the rest of your life. Hello.
It
Yeah.
exactly. And I was like, medication for the rest of my life,
Mhm.
dot, dot, dot. And then you do a little reading, and then it's like, oh my God, I have a 50% larger chance to get cancer. I'm
Mhm.
most likely going to get another autoimmune condition. My thyroid's going to fail,
Mhm.
and get destroyed. This and that. And I'm like, all right, whoa, 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 stop, stop. Thankfully, actually, I was a massage therapist and personal trainer for 15 years
Mhm.
prior to my diagnosis. I had herniated a disc in my back, so I had to stop that career. But it taught me about anatomy, physiology, and nutrition to a certain degree. So then I just started using that knowledge and going down the rabbit hole of watching every webinar I could, reading every book on nutrition, learning what the thyroid gland does, learning what Hashimoto's is, studying autoimmune conditions and how they arise and how they affect the body.
Mhm.
I did probably like a PhD level work for 6 months,
Wow.
and really did a deep dive on it. And when I came out of it, it was like an aha moment. Hashimoto's isn't a thyroid condition; it's a immune system condition. And my lifestyle got me into it. Changing my lifestyle and diet can get me out of it.
Oh, very good. You saw a pathway to full recovery.
Exactly. And I kid with my wife. I'm like, okay, you had thyroid cancer. I'll follow you up. I'll get Hashimoto's. We both have thyroid conditions. Um, but we both took our health very seriously. It was kind of like an aha um, change of life moment for both of us. I
Really
found my,
motivated to make those changes. Yeah.
yeah, so excuse me.
Hmm.
We bought a sauna. We decided not to take a vacation. We got a new tonal exercise machine. Um, we dedicated ourselves to like a paleo primal lifestyle and diet, which is basically simply eating meat and vegetables for 80 to 90% of your diet.
Hmm.
We eliminated grains, we eliminated bread, we eliminated pasta. We definitely eliminated sugar and processed foods. We really
Not
watched.
easy to do in America.
No, the standard American diet that everyone eats is loaded with chemicals,
Hmm.
grains, gluten,
Hmm.
soy, dairy,
Hmm.
and maybe we'll talk about it a little later. It's just loaded with poisons.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like it ties
Seed
in why
oils.
everyone's getting autoimmune conditions
Hmm.
because everyone's eating really bad food.
Hmm.
But within, I got on thyroid medication. My doctor didn't put me on synthetic medication. He put me on a natural desiccated thyroid
Oh,
medication,
okay.
um, which has T4 and T3 derived from desiccated pig thyroid.
Hmm.
And that really boosted my energy up and eliminated probably like 40% of my symptoms right away. My energy kind of doubled. I kind of had the wherewithal to make further changes.
It's so helpful when you start to see results. It really does put a spring in your step about taking the next step and the step after that.
Exactly. It's like baby steps, boop, 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 boop. Yeah. So, but I was still having symptoms. Like 6 months later, I'm like, there's still something not right. I didn't lose any weight
Oh,
um, with the medication. So, I mean, I've been reading the two books that really got me on the nutrition pathway were The Primal Blueprint by Mark Sisson
Mm-hmm.
and The Genius Life by Max Lugavere.
Hmm.
Um, Max's mom passed away from uh, dementia and Alzheimer's, and he kind of went down the rabbit hole, figuring out that it was a lot about how she ate her whole life and following the guidelines, and that conventional medicine kind of failed her. So I took his advice on what to eat, and I took Mark Sisson's, which is the 10 primal laws: eat plants and animals, avoid poisonous things, get sunlight, lift heavy things, sprint once in a while, play, use your brain, etc. And then honestly, within 32 days of like really following that advice, I lost 30 pounds. It just melted away.
A pound a day.
It was remarkable because I think I set myself up for success the previous 6 months and taking steps and getting on the medication, but it was gone like in an instant. I went from a size 36, 38 to a 32, 33.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. What great results.
it was fabulous.
Yeah.
I had energy for days.
It's so
Uh,
great when your energy returns and you feel vital.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, it was like, aha, life is good again.
Mhm.
Um, and then that kind of spurred me on to like, that's what I want to do with my life for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Um, I was struggling kind of find my way in the world, what I wanted to do after being a massage therapist and personal
Hmm.
trainer.
Hmm.
And then I went to real estate. I went into other things. I got my MBA,
Hmm.
blah, yada, yada, yada. But then I figured out, wow, I can help people how I help myself.
Yes.
And I can help them achieve results way quicker than it took me.
Because you figured it out. Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't have to reinvent the wheel. And
No,
so many great coaching programs have come out of people saying, I've got to solve problem X. I'm going to solve it. And then once that blueprint, like Mark Sisson says in his book, is written, other people can follow it. So, what a way to redesign your life. That's very inspiring.
exactly. That's exactly what I did. I redesigned my life to help people. I got my health coaching certification. Um, I continue to learn every day. Took me, I started helping people for free for a while and
Mhm.
learning how the good parts, the bad parts, refining it for probably 6 months.
Mhm.
Um, then I finally got my solution. I call it the Hashimoto solution, where I help people go from sick and tired to revitalized in 12 weeks. Um, and I love helping people now, and that's my focus in life. It brings me joy. It's given me a mission to help 10,000 women by 2030
Wow.
overcome their autoimmune symptoms. And I've been blessed to have clarity of thought and clarity of mission now
Mhm.
that I'm going straight through. Plus, now that I'm 53, I just turned 53. I am in the best shape of my life since high school.
Isn't that
Um,
something? I got
it's
sick so then I could be in the best shape I've been in since high school.
Yeah. I mean, as bad as my 40s were and the struggle, it was like setting a foundation of suck
Mhm.
to build up a life of dreams and everything I want, and a life of service to others.
It's so exciting. You know, sometimes we do have to really nail down what doesn't work, you know,
So
and then we
true.
can say, okay, so none of these. And let's see if we can find something that does work. We don't always just land on the first thing and it works like a charm.
I
So,
wish that were so, but
yeah.
no, I'm always envious of those people that are in their like 20s and 30s that like, oh, I found myself. I'm like, what? I was partying my rear end off, going to clubs and clubs and chasing girls back then. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then it makes life so much easier when you do know what you want to do and
Yeah.
you have coaches that can support you with what you want to do.
Well, it's so rewarding to be a coach and to move the needle for clients. So not only are you making a living doing what you love, it's very rewarding work to do, especially in the medical industry. I don't want to be the doctor that says, yes, the tumor's cancerous. Yes, we're going to give you chemo and radiation. Yes, this is how you prepare to stay alive, though it won't look like the life you've known so far. I mean, most of the time, if you're engaged in medical things, it's just the criteria of bad news and then how to cope with a difficult diagnosis or what have you. You get to pull people out of that.
Yeah.
You get to pull people into a life that's working again, their body's working again. And even just in dialing in the right diet for people, that can take someone a year if they don't have a coach. They figure out maybe I am gluten intolerant, maybe it is the dairy, the kind of elimination things that people have to do. And there's a carnivore that I follow online, and she was a vegan for 6 years. She worked out every day. She couldn't add any muscle. Her body wasn't designed for a vegan lifestyle, but she didn't know it. She just kept trying harder. And after 6 years, her skin was all broken out. She said, I think I need to, realign. And she met someone who was a carnivore coach who said, well, you've tried this and you've done everything for 6 years. You're not getting the results you need. Try something else. And I think that's advice you probably give people is what have you tried so far? What is working? Here's how we can realign you and see if this is working. So when people start working with you, Cris, what does that look like?
That's a great question. We start kind of by finding out exactly what's going on with their health, where they're struggling, where they have roadblocks, um, whether it be like they don't have accountability to themselves. And that's a big, big factor. Like you can be studying, you can find, there's so much information in the world. No one needs more information. I mean, I have plenty, but everything that's in my brain, you could
Mhm.
Google
Sure,
and
sure.
have that.
Hmm.
So what I set up is a simple plan with them, um, either one-on-one or in group, and we meet weekly, either one time or a few times. And I set them start with the diet. Let's eliminate sugar. Let's just get rid of sugar first
Hmm.
week. Let's start there. No soda, no
That is a hard
sweets, no
change.
candy. Exactly. And then I'm there with them like they need to get in my group chat, they can do that. If they need to text me, depending on the plan,
Hmm.
um, I'll answer them and I help them be accountable to themselves. I
Yes.
give every one of my clients a simple mantra that they can always say, what would healthy Marna do? Like, what would healthy Lindsay do? And I'm like, every time you get to a certain point, ask yourself that question. Does it mean you're going to make the right choice? No, but at least you thought about it. And
It's the
maybe,
beginning.
exactly, and maybe tomorrow you'll make a better choice.
Hmm.
It's like getting that, like James Clear in his book Atomic Habits said, getting 1% better every day,
Hmm.
giving yourself grace when you fail, but don't fail twice.
Right. Don't give up.
And if you fail twice, don't fail the third time.
Hmm.
Start again and
Hmm.
then build systems in place that can support them. Then we start going into like, let's eliminate processed foods the next week.
Hmm.
And then it'll be a build on, let's get kind of fat adapted and get a new kind of relationship with fat. There's been
Hmm.
such a stigmatism
Yes.
about fats being
Yes.
bad. And I'm
Yes.
like, red meat, depending on what kind of quality is good for you.
Yes.
Olive oil is great for you.
Hmm.
Grass-fed, grass-finished butter is wonderful for you.
Hmm.
Avocado oil, coconut oil, these are all really amazing fats
So much
that nourish.
rethinking to do
Yeah,
about, what are foods that actually support your body's immune system, your body's fat adaptation, as you mentioned, foods that help dial down the sugar cravings. I mean, what you do eat helps you not eat the things you're not supposed to eat.
Yeah.
So, how much of this is a mental game when you're working with people? You talked about accountability, but in our minds, we're in a DIY world. We go to the doctor, they write a prescription, we swallow the pills, we're just supposed to be better. Like there's a magic wand. And okay, now I took my antibiotic for 10 days, so I no longer have an infection, it's over. We have this sort of instant mentality about, and then we never have questioned a Coke and a smile, or the world is better with Pepsi. We just don't even question the way we've grown up, and to make those changes can feel really big. But I imagine you have social changes. But I cook this food for my family. But when I go out with my friends, I have to take the bun away from the hamburger and they look at me funny. So how do you help with kind of the mental and then the inner social interactions making these food changes?
It is a step at a time. It depends. Usually it's not so hard because my clients come to me, they're they're struggling. Some of them, like my one of my clients, Lauren, she was struggling for 10, 15 years
Wow.
with um horrible digestive problems,
Hmm.
Hashimoto's symptoms. She had anxiety that was so bad that she had to be on medication. She was freaking out when she went out to eat or ate anything because she didn't know how the food would affect her.
That is
Um,
so miserable. You have to eat and you're concerned every time you do. That is a kind of living hell.
exactly. So my clients kind of come to me and they're a lot of them are at wit's end. So it's like, listen, this is I've done this. It's helped me. It's helped this person, and this person.
Hmm.
Start small,
Hmm.
and then talk to me. Like, are you struggling? Give me a text message. Don't hide it. Let's
Hmm.
work through it. Give them simple things. Yeah, like take the bun away.
Hmm.
Put the hamburger. Ask the restaurant to use olive oil or
Hmm.
butter when they're cooking your food.
Hmm.
Let's stay for the first couple of weeks. Try to eat at home most of the time. Let's food
Right.
prep for your week
Hmm.
so you know what you're getting.
Hmm.
Um, and then after they get fat adapted, after they eliminate that sugar and go through that kind of like sugar withdrawal, their energy kind of pops up a little bit and they get that first quick win. And they're
Hmm.
like, oh,
Hmm.
my pants fit better.
Hmm.
I can get up out of bed and I'm not exhausted.
Hmm.
I feel like I can take on the day a bit better, at least
Yeah.
take on the morning.
Yeah.
And then it slowly it gets into their own mind. My whole program is to like, I want them to become accountable to themselves. I
Yeah.
want them to educate themselves and I'll educate them so they can start making proper choices. I don't want to coach anyone for their life. Like
No.
maybe that'd be great financially, but I want them to become almost evangelistas of like the lifestyle. So
When they
their
see how
ripple of
much Lauren is doing better, Lauren's friends and family want to know, how did you do it?
exactly. She was struggling so much. Everyone mentioned she was sick. She wouldn't go out on dates after a horrible divorce.
Mhm.
She stopped going to family functions. She was worried about losing her job or being able to function at her job.
Mhm.
This year, she got promoted. Her family is remarkable at how healthy she looks. She put on 10 pounds of muscle, which at a 5'1" girl is huge. She's fixed her scoliosis
Wow.
to a degree where she's out of chronic pain. She's
Wow.
symptom free. Um, and she's starting to date again.
My
She's
gosh.
entering the
And you
dating
taught
world.
her what she needs to know for the rest of her life.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And she did the work. I was just there to coach her and guide her and get her, keep her positive when there's struggles or something doesn't go right. It's not a failure, it's a learning experience.
Mhm.
There's never failures in life, there's just winning and learning.
Right.
It's a great way to look at life in that way.
I would
You're
imagine
always,
that in your 12-week program, come week 6 or 7, they've had some wins already.
oh
And they
yeah,
can probably see the finish line of like, I might actually no longer have the bloating or no longer have the inflammation where my joints hurt all the time. Or maybe my hair will stop falling out or grow back. I mean,
yeah.
halfway through, do you begin to see that they're on the upswing and they can see how this is going to serve them?
Even earlier, like I
Mm,
would say probably after 2 weeks. And
wow.
especially that 21 day
Mm,
is like a magic bingo. Like, wow.
mm-hmm,
That's when they'll start really noticing that like the first week, week and a half, the bloat disappears. You notice like the face
mm-hmm,
puffiness
mm-hmm,
shrinks and disappears.
mm-hmm,
Um, their clothes are fitting looser.
mm-hmm,
They have a bit more energy,
mm-hmm,
and then it just keeps adding on. And
mm-hmm,
then they get wins like, oh, I didn't have to have that ice cream, or I didn't have to have that slice of pizza,
mm-hmm,
or I only had 2 drinks last night instead of the 3 or 4 I'd have.
mm-hmm.
And it keeps building up and building up. And then by week 8, 12, they're like, I asked them, have you had any symptoms? And they think about it and they're like, no. How's your energy? How is it when you wake up?
Mhm,
I'm getting up and it's great.
mhm,
I feel like I can crush the day, even though I did all of this the other day.
mhm,
I'm getting better sleep. I'm
mhm,
sleeping 8 hours. I wake up to pee, but I'm able to go back to bed.
mhm,
And
mhm,
you see the smile that they're like beaming almost. It's like I feel healthy inside and out, and I like almost cry.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
so gratifying to like
mhm.
see that, and then to know that their life, it's not just touching their life, it's everyone around them that creates this like ripple effect
Yes.
of positivity into the world.
Well, and when they work with a coach like you who's lived it, who's living it, it brings so much credibility to, oh, I've had clients that have that same challenge with sugar. I remember years ago seeing a book that was being promoted, the 21-day quit sugar strategy. And I thought, you can quit sugar? Uh-oh. I'm like, that's probably a good idea. You can quit sugar?
Yeah,
It's in everything.
it is in everything.
Mhm,
And sugar is definitely one of the number one killers because every time you eat sugar or a simple carb or a refined carbohydrate product,
mhm,
you're spiking your blood sugar, which then spikes your insulin levels. Um, and you keep going like this up and down thing, which every time you're doing that, every time insulin's secreted, you're creating more inflammation in your body,
mhm,
more free radicals,
mhm.
more oxidation. And it's just a never ending cycle. And then if you're eating that, then you can create leaky gut.
Oh,
So your intestines become more permeable and it lets in, besides all the nutrients and stuff, it'll let in gluten into the bloodstream.
mhm.
One of the ways people develop Hashimoto's is by getting leaky gut.
Oh,
And then through something called molecular mimicry, a
oh,
gluten molecule will pass through your intestines into your bloodstream. Then the immune system will recognize it as a foreign invader, create an antibody.
mhm.
Unfortunately, gluten looks a lot like your thyroid cells,
Oh,
same kind of molecular structure. So as the antibody kind of travels through your bloodstream, it comes to your thyroid gland and goes, oh, foreign invader.
mhm,
And it can't really stop itself because it's been working so overtime because of the toxins in the environment, the toxins in the standard American diet,
mhm,
um, the beauty products you put on your face, the bath products you use, your shampoo,
mhm,
yada, yada, yada.
mhm,
Um, so then your immune system keeps attacking your thyroid gland and it's slow, gradual over years. Your thyroid gland gets destroyed, gets scarred up, and it can't produce enough
mhm,
thyroid hormone to support your body. And your body, every single organ, almost every single cell in your body needs thyroid hormone to operate.
Yes.
So then bang, you go to your doctor because you're extremely tired and exhausted all the time. And he goes, "Oh, you have hypothyroidism, your TSH. Let's put you on this, or you have Hashimoto's."
Hmm.
Dot dot dot, and
Hmm.
then you're like I was, what?
Hmm.
How'd this happen?
Yeah. You know what I love about the fact that you have a coaching program, whether it's your group coaching or one-on-one, people are in like a real time experiment. Well, I've been really good about not having a beer after work. I've been really good about not drinking soda. I've been really good about staying away from bread to see if grains are a problem. And then I took some, and then this happened. And you can walk them through, when did you eat it? When did the crash happen? And you woke up with your knees inflamed, which is the thing that you were so happy had stopped happening to you. And it's the sandwich you had with the bread. So you can help them trace it straight back. So
Yeah.
the next time they look at the sandwich, they can say, my knees will be swollen in the morning if I eat that bread. So I understand the impact of the choices that I'm making, because you can help them tie it all to it.
Yeah. And funny you mention that because most of my successful clients, they almost always have that one moment of, oh, I'm just going to cheat. I'm feeling good. I'm going to cheat. And then bam, it's early. It's usually in the first week or two,
Hmm.
maybe 3 weeks, but they'll
Hmm.
have like that. Oh my God, I ate a slice of pizza. Next day, I feel like garbage
Hmm.
or whatever their favorite thing is. They did
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, what'd you do? And then it's like, I don't think I really did anything. I just had this. Oh, I had this.
Yeah.
And it's like, you had this, and this is the result.
Hmm.
Like you've been eating this way for years,
Right.
and your body is telling you
Yeah.
now. And it's like an epiphany. It's like they learn how to listen to their body for the first time ever.
I hear those stories about someone who gets like a kidney transplant and they wake up wanting a beer and they don't drink beer. But the kidney they got was from a guy that used to have a beer every day. And so it really is in the body, the habituated sort of attraction to what foods or food processes, it's really in the body.
It is so in the body. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
the good part is that you can totally change it around.
Yes.
It's not a lifelong curse. It's not,
Mhm.
you're not doomed to be, I mean, maybe if you burn out your thyroid, you're on medication forever, but you don't have to keep getting a bigger and bigger dose
Mhm.
thyroid medication. You can become symptom free. You don't have to be exhausted. You
Mhm.
don't have to be walking around with a notepad because you can't remember anything. You
Right.
don't have to suffer from anxiety and have to
All of
take
those symptoms.
it,
Yeah.
it's changing your lifestyle and diet is not easy.
Mhm.
Any kind of change, quote unquote, is
Mhm.
not easy,
Mhm.
but it's a lot easier than feeling sick and tired all the time. It's a lot easier than struggling to get out of bed all the time. It's a
Mhm.
lot easier than missing out on your kids' lives, your family life, your social life.
Mhm.
It's a lot easier than waking up when you're 60 and my God, I just lost the last 20 years of my life sitting in bed feeling miserable because I couldn't give up some foods that I thought I really loved.
Right. When you really break down, this is all I'm asking of you to do, is to change the way you eat. And in 30 days or 45 days, you're not going to miss the food you gave up, because now you know how it makes you feel when you eat it. And you're going to skip the inflammation and the bloating and the digestive problems and the headaches and the mind that's, foggy instead of functioning. And I think people who live day to day and wake up feeling good and look forward to their day, knowing they have the energy to do what's on their to-do list, what a way to live. And this is available to them. I've seen doctors be interviewed who say, I wish I could put on my prescription pad, make these lifestyle choices. But clients never will, patients never will. Well, you're proof positive that yes, they will. If they get a great coach, they'll make those lifestyle changes and wake up feeling good in the morning for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. The problem with doctors is they don't have the time to sit and meet with
Mhm.
a person every
Right,
week, especially for an hour. Even what do you see your doctor? If you're
mhm,
lucky, 15 minutes
right.
every maybe 3 months.
Hmm.
Unless, I mean, I rail against the conventional medicine system, but
Hmm.
it's really good for an acute problem.
Of
You're
course.
having a heart attack, you break a leg, you're
A
in a
thyroid
car
storm
accident.
like that happened to your wife. You need to
Yeah,
get to the bottom of that.
it's great for that.
Hmm.
But chronic diseases, like autoimmune conditions, even
Crohn's.
allergies
Hmm.
or stuff like that, they're struggling to figure that out. That, I mean, you look, for example, not with Hashimoto's, but with diabetes. If you go to the American Diabetic or Association,
Hmm.
you look what they say for their diet, it's going to keep somebody diabetic for the rest of their life.
Hmm. Yeah,
And no, stop eating sugar,
yeah.
stop eating carbs, eat
Well, the
fat, eat
carbs
protein.
convert to sugar. It's like
Exactly.
you can think a potato as a vegetable, but mashed potatoes turn to sugar in your system. You might as well have had pudding as to have the mashed potatoes, but you can help people reorient their thinking about the foods they've always eaten that have gotten them to where they are. Do you ever have people say, so is it my fault that I didn't know how to eat right, or is it my fault that I was raised in this family and these are the foods that we eat? Do you help people say, well, let's just reboot what you do with your nutrition rather than blame you or blame the culture or blame your family, your food heritage? How do you deal with that?
It is what it is, and there's definitely you've developed limiting beliefs and stories that you tell yourself, your mind, especially in the formative years,
Mhm,
and it's tricky.
mhm,
You have to be because you don't want to blame grandma on
mhm,
their. You don't want to blame anyone. You just want to be like, hey, no, because there's so many things telling you to eat that way. First of all, there's the government
mhm.
food pyramid.
Sure.
Then there's all the marketing from all the big companies.
Yes.
Then there's just the change from what used to be good in when our grandparents were alive and made stuff like mashed potatoes or a
Mhm.
cake with real flour that wasn't enriched and wasn't sprayed with
GMO and
glycophosphate.
yeah.
Exactly, that makes it poisonous.
Hmm.
Um, but now you have to really be careful of what you eat. And when I tell people, like, yeah, you got to change your diet, I'm not telling them to eat cardboard.
No.
I'm telling them to, like, we're going to design things that are delicious, they're
Hmm.
easy to make,
Hmm.
and you really not poisonous. They're just filled with nutrients and good things that are good for you. And
Hmm.
it's just simple steps. Instead of eating the pasta,
Hmm.
use a spaghetti squash. And
Hmm.
at first, you maybe mix a little gluten-free pasta
Hmm.
made with grains from Europe
Or
that
rice
aren't
flour
chemical,
or something else. Hmm.
but which still has to be made from Europe. It can't
Hmm.
be rice flour from America
Because
because
it's
that has
been
arsenic.
GMO and
Exactly. And then you slowly wean them off to where it's just a meat sauce with chunks of vegetables in it.
hmm.
Instead of having a lasagna, make a butternut squash lasagna
Hmm.
with cashew cheese
Hmm.
and meat sauce and that.
Hmm.
And so it's simple changes
Hmm.
that the food is still delicious. It's not what you're used to. It takes a little change and a little getting used to,
Hmm.
but when you feel how different your body is and
Hmm.
like you have the energy, you're not bloating, your
Hmm.
stomach, you're not constipated, you're regular.
And you
Um,
sleep at night and get restorative sleep. And
exactly.
that's part of why you wake up feeling better. Well, it's so exciting the work you're doing and that you figured this out for so many people who don't have the time or the energy or the knowledge to figure it out. You've redesigned your life in a very beautiful way. How do people get a hold of you? And I think do you have a new course coming up or a new webinar that we can put the,
Yeah,
information in?
I figured it'll be in the show notes. I'm,
Mhm.
as we speak, designing a new master class
Oh, good.
on Hashimoto's.
Hmm.
There's
That's
also
wonderful. So they know people that have Hashimoto's, they can just send the link. Who you can
exactly,
share it
yeah,
with.
and it'll take them right to a master class that'll give them, it's a 45, roughly 45 minutes,
Hmm.
and it'll give them some case studies. It'll show them things that they can do right away. So give them some quick wins that they
Hmm.
can easily implement in their own lives, to help them or help a loved one. There's also my website, theprimalit.com,
Great,
and they can follow me on Instagram at the Primal Italian. That's
great,
my main social channel.
great. I'll make sure that that's in the show notes too. The last thing I'll leave you with is that people that are doing this search have a lot of company. You mentioned that from 2006 to 2021, the rising instances of MS diagnoses, Crohn's, the autoimmune diagnoses are just climbing, climbing, climbing. So many people need this information.
Yep, definitely. It's sky. It's an As obesity is becoming an epidemic, so is autoimmune conditions across the board. And Hashimoto's is right there leading the charge with the
Mhm.
flag going, Um, and it does it. The reason I choose to mostly work with women is because it affects women much more than men, all autoimmune conditions.
Hmm,
There's theories that because of the makeup and the beauty products women use, that
could
they're
be.
exposed to a lot more toxins than men are. There's also a theory that testosterone is a protective
Right,
agent against
right.
autoimmune conditions. But whatever it is, like Hashimoto's has at least 14 million Americans are suffering from Hashimoto's, and 77% of them are women.
Wow,
Um,
okay.
so
That's a lot of people. Um, well, I'm so happy that your programs are available, that your success story can be replicated by your clients. And
yeah,
congratulations again on redesigning your life in such a rewarding way.
thank you very much. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure speaking with you, and
thanks.
look forward to speaking with you again sometime soon.
Good. Hey, thanks so much, Chris.
All right.
Okay, we'll see you in the next one.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye now.